So I'm back for another video with my Twin Peaks themed island in Animal Crossing New Horizons. This one came together somewhat spontaneously as one of my villagers asked to move out, and I thought it could be a good opportunity to go on a villager hunt. I mentioned in my last video that I'm sort of considering whether I should be collecting villagers based on their personality types or based on names that jive with characters or entities in the Twin Peaks universe. I'm leaning more toward the names matching up at this point, and so I actually had Opal leave. She's sort of a green elephant, and I was thinking that she could actually be a stand-in for Norma running the Double R Diner, given that her color sort of matches the color of their diner uniforms. But she's the one that asked to leave, and so I figured that could be a good opportunity to explore the other side of things in terms of finding characters that have names that match. So I also mentioned in my last video that I was able to get Jacques recently. That was actually through an amiibo card, and so I'm already sort of taking some steps in that direction. But today I want to really try and find Judy or Bob, the two of them being the sort of evil spirits or manifestations of evil that exist in the Twin Peaks universe. And yeah, that's kind of what I'm going for today. Not sure how much gas I've got in the tank in terms of going on a long hunt, but I'm gonna get started with maybe 10 or 20 islands and see how it goes. And yeah, thanks for joining. All right, on the first ticket here, hoping for something good. My chances are not great. It's making me think of something that I've noticed in some creators online, in how they sort of interpret the statistics in the game as it relates to Nook Miles Islands and encountering certain types of villagers. From what I've read, I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but from what I've read, the villager types, or the species that have more villagers within them, so the cats being the most populous, they're actually the rarest to come across, which seems somewhat counterintuitive, but basically you have a base probability that you'll run into any particular villager or species type, and then that's multiplied by the number of villagers. So the octopi and the cows are the most common, since they have the least number of villagers, and the cats and dogs and other more common villager types are actually harder to come across on these hunts. So it's going to be tough to come across Bob, and whoever that hippo was that I just saw, I am not interested in, so I'm going to take off to my second island. I think what makes these villager hunts entertaining to me when I'm watching them on YouTube is kind of how people get more and more desperate and just kind of punch drunk or delusional, or however you want to call it, when they're hundreds of tickets in and they're not finding the person that they want. Looks like we've got Deirdre here. She was actually at my campsite not too long ago. I was actually trying to get her in to my island, but I wasn't successful in getting her to choose the right villager that I wanted to get off my island, and so it's just a bit tedious and gave up on it. But she does not fit the Twin Peaks naming convention that we're going after. Yeah, so I was saying that the entertainment value of these videos can often come from the frustration of people, possibly giving up on villagers that they should have taken earlier in the hunt, or just sort of getting more desperate, as I said. I'm hoping for my own sake that it's an easier process for me, but I'd be also happy to sort of go down the rabbit hole of getting more and more anxious as time goes on. I hope that's not the case. I'm not going to take Cherry. She does kind of fit the theme in a sense, actually, now that I think about it, just in that Cherry Pie is a big part of Twin Peaks and actually becomes a major function of the plot in the return for those who've seen it. But yeah, for now, I think I'm going to say no. Yeah, so I mentioned earlier on that I'm in particular going after Bob and Judy. I think that's mainly just because they would be rarer to come across. There are other villagers that kind of match the naming convention, but there's sort of a combination of things. Like, I've got a few of the amiibo cards, or I'm sort of trading for some that should be coming in soon. So, for example, I already have Ed, so he would stand in for Ed, the gas station operator. And then Norma would be one that I'd be interested in. But again, given that she's a cow, she's one of the more common ones to come across. If I did see her today, I might end up taking her, we'll see. But there's a couple other villagers that I'm thinking of that fit the naming convention off the top of my head, or kind of fit the theme, I guess. One of them being Doc. He's a rabbit, wears glasses, kind of has funky colors, and so he'd be a good stand-in for Dr. Jacoby. I mentioned in the last video that I was thinking that Raymond could also be a good fit as Dr. Jacoby, but yeah, I'm not 100% on that yet. I might end up getting rid of Raymond and taking Doc instead, but time will tell. Alright, gotta climb up here. And of course I cannot get my ladder out. Looks like we've got Boomer. He's a pretty nifty looking penguin. I was actually thinking as well in terms of which of the special characters in the game actually sort of could be stand-ins for characters on Twin Peaks, and or from Twin Peaks. And one thing that occurred to me is that the resident services building could sort of function as the sheriff's station, in which case that would make Tom Nook the sheriff, and I was thinking that Isabel could be sort of a stand-in for Lucy. And I actually thought that was quite fitting, just in the sense that she's sort of sitting in front of her microphone and kind of going on about her personal life as opposed to her professional obligations, which is very reminiscent of Lucy's role in the show. Another hippo, lovely. I think this is Bertha. Oh, looks like we've got Roscoe. He actually, I saw him in a video earlier today, and I was thinking that he actually reminds me of James Hurley, but I think one of the challenges with creating this island is, as I said in the last video, I'm wanting to capture some of the darker elements of Twin Peaks and bring that into, this bright and colorful and wholesome video game. Great, I've got Olaf for the second time. Hopefully that it does not become a trend. But yeah, I think the challenge will be in bringing some of those darker elements out of something that doesn't really have any of that, or very little of it anyway. In particular, I'm just thinking of, like, say I'm looking for Bob right now. He's a lazy villager. He's going to be talking about bugs all the time, snacks, etc. He doesn't really fit the bill of the embodiment of evil. I have some ideas as to what aspects of the town of Twin Peaks, or the universe of the show, that I want to represent on the island. I guess the centerpiece, at least that I'm thinking of so far, is the Great Northern Hotel, and I'm thinking of using the museum for that. just because it's sort of a grand building and could decorate it outside to give the impression that it's a hotel, and potentially put a villager house there that is someone that runs the hotel. Like I'm thinking Benjamin, who would be Ben Horn, or potentially Audie, who would be, sounds close enough to Audrey kind of thing. Got Tank here. I would say that's a definite no. Oh, never seen Yuka before. Tisk Tisk. Yuka is cute, but she is not going to make it to Twin Peaks, at least for now. Alright, let's see, we're 12 tickets in now. Looks like we're on... No, I thought it was a Money Rock Island, but it's not. We have a horse, but it is... Or a cow, not a horse, but it's not Norma. It's Tipper. Only cow I'm looking for is Norma, and again, given that she would have a higher chance of appearing, I'm not sure that I'm going to take her on this particular hunt. Really want Bob. Really want Judy. Judy in particular because she's one of the newer villagers and doesn't have an amiibo card, whereas I would have other methods of getting the other cards, although Norma's card actually is hard to come across just given that it is part of the Welcome amiibo set as opposed to the Series 1 through 4 sets that Nintendo re-released recently. Oh no, that's Patty. Yeah, as you can see, 2 cows in a row. So the chances of running into them is rather high. Someone almost just fell through our ceiling, which would not have been good. My fiancée is laughing on the couch, eating her ravioli. Oh, there we go, 3 cows in a row now. I am getting to the point of deliriousness and confusion, or the fact that I've gotten 3 cows in a row and Patty twice in a row is definitely pushing me in that direction. So stay tuned on that. Someone falling through the ceiling? Yeah. I mean, I don't know that you could tell what region it was. I am feeling non-cow energy on this one. Fingers crossed. Don't want to be as ambitious to say that I am feeling cat energy, but I'm feeling non-cow energy. So let's see who we've got here. And it is not a cow. It is an eagle named Celia. She kind of looks like a highlighter. As I'm doing this, I'm just kind of reflecting on some of my favorite characters in Twin Peaks, and I do feel like Lucy and her husband, who I'm forgetting his name right now, Andy, Deputy Andy, I do feel like that their relationship is one of the more endearing parts of the show, and just one of the aspects of the show that I get the most enjoyment out of. And I think that's what's so great about the show in general. It's just that there's so many strange and quirky things going on, and there's all of these supernatural elements and everything, but at the heart of it, there's just these really sentimental relationships, and I don't know, the other that I'm thinking of is Ed and Norma, just like the emotional weight of them getting together after decades of sort of longing for each other in the return is just so powerful, and something that I really cherish. I'm not 100% sold on the character name reflecting the actual character on my island. I'm sort of heading in that direction for now, but I'm not 100% sold on it, just because I don't know that, say, like Ed, for example, being a smug villager necessarily represents who Ed Hurley is in the show. I have Rasher on my island right now, and I was thinking that he could sort of fit well for Ed, because I don't know, he just I feel like the cranky villager types is more reflective of how Ed is, in terms of being more of like a father figure and just sort of being an older, crankier character, so to speak. But also Rasher's house basically looks like a gas station. It's just a bunch of like scrap metal, and it's literally a parking lot on the ground. So from a visual perspective, I feel like he fits Ed Hurley better than Ed the horse does, but it's all a work in progress at this point, so we'll see how it goes. That said, I do think that I want either Bob or Judy, just as I say, as kind of that representation of the evil spirit or evil energy in the show. So that is a definite yes, and I think having those character names or those entity names represented in some way is important to me. But beyond that, I'm not sold on which characters will represent which villagers will represent which character. I'm just gonna say no to Tony the Tiger. Okay, who do we have? Do we have a purple cat or a pink cub? No, we do have a cat though. Heading in the right direction, although again it's all completely random. We've got Pearl. I think there's another duplicate. I feel like I wasn't paying attention when this mouse showed up, and I'm pretty sure I've already seen her. Greta. No, thank you. Shouldn't have actually engaged in conversation with her because I'm just wasting time. But then I wouldn't have anything to talk over. It's funny, going into these villager hunts, I always think of it in terms of those probabilities that I have read on the internet of, it's 1 in 35 of getting a particular species type, and then multiply that by the number of villagers within that species, and that's your odds of getting that particular villager. And like the way these games are programmed, it's all just probabilities, and it's all kind of set in stone how it works, yet you still do buy into the feeling that you are getting lucky or unlucky, and that, the fact that I'm seeing this very strange looking penguin is some sign from the universe that I'm doomed for failure and will never fulfill my hopes and dreams. But just have to remind myself that at the end of the day, it is a sequence of ones and zeros that is predetermined, or at least predetermined in terms of the potential outcomes, and that if it'll happen, it'll happen. Oh, nope. That is a very purple rhino. Alright. Oh. It's a pink bear. It's Ursula. I thought it was Pinky, but I guess that's a different pink bear. Grumph. Sorry, Ursula. All right, 24 tickets in. I think from the probabilities that I keep coming back to, the likelihood of getting like a particular cat is like one in 900 or something like that. So it's not likely that I will see Bob on this round, and it's not likely that I will see him anytime soon, but gotta hold out hope. I don't know how many cub villagers there are, but I would imagine that the odds are somewhere in the range of like 1 in 500 or 600, something like that. So there is a chance, but it is a small chance. That is Nana. We say no to Nana. I think the other thing that I have to think about with these villager hunts is that this game is intended to be around for a very long time, and if it's just not going to happen this time, it's not going to happen. I don't really know if I want to string this out into like a multi-day process of coming back to it at once over and over again to try and get the villager that I want, but I'm going to stick it out for a bit longer here and see who I get, and potentially just leave things up to chance, and over time, either through amiibo cards or through hunts like this, I will find what I want. And I think part of doing this right now is also just reflecting on the types of villagers that I want, if I do want it to reflect the character names, etc., and just kind of talking it through while I'm doing something somewhat tedious. So that's kind of where I'm at right now, and I think if we get Bob or Judy in the next 4 tickets, great. Otherwise, just see what happens in the next 4 tickets, and then I'm done. Lucky Bamboo Island. Why is it lucky? I do not know. It is not lucky for me, because this is... because there's the one hamburger-looking sheep. I think... Is it a sheep? It's whatever it is. This horned animal, because there's one that looks like a hamburger and fries, I think they all look like hamburgers. So this is Eunice the Hamburger. And I do not want to speak to Eunice the Hamburger anymore. Alright, 3 tickets left at least on this round. I don't know, I'm kind of rethinking what I just said about potentially turning this into a multi-day process. I really do want to get some of these villagers, and in order to do so you need to go through the process, so I don't know. We'll see how it goes. Maybe I'll even have some more energy later tonight, but winding down for now. See you later, Buck. The other thing that I was thinking about with these villager hunts, or sorry, with the types of villagers that I want to have on the island, one thing that comes up a lot in David Lynch's work, and in Twin Peaks in particular, is the idea of doppelgangers and people living multiple lives and all of these kinds of things. And so it did occur to me that there's a couple cats in particular, Tom and Mo, that look very similar. And I actually did have Mo on my island before, but I let him go. But I've since gotten his amiibo card. So, and I also have Tom's card, so that's something that I might explore as well. I haven't come across any similar kind of doppelganger villagers. I mean, I was thinking that, like, in some cases, the more basically designed animals, like some of the elephants, kind of look similar and could be doppelgangers, like just different colors, basically. But Tom and Mo in particular look very, very similar. So, this is interesting. Lucky actually was one that I was thinking about the other day because he is undead, and that definitely does bring more of a macabre element to the universe of Animal Crossing, and could fit in somewhere in Twin Peaks as well. And I don't know, yeah. How many? I said I was going to stop after this one, but I might want to go longer. I think I'm just going to take him for now, and see if down the line my thoughts change on what types of villagers I want. But at least for now, I've got one that I was thinking about the other day, and can make plans for those real dreamies down the line. So thanks for tuning into this one, and I guess I should actually get Lucky to agree to live on my island. Yeah, thanks for hanging out with me.